I'm actually very concerned about the framing of this public meeting. You've invited Heathrow Holdings into our community, and it seems that the only option for us is to accept that a third runway is inevitable. And that's not true at all. We fought a third runway option 10 years ago, and we were successful. We can fight it again, and we can succeed again. My concern really is that the question that we've been put today isn't the right question. Surely we shouldn't be asking how many more flights do we have to put up with. Surely we should be asking why should we have to put up with any more flights at all. I mean, this is a critical situation. As I understand it, you're our MP, you're meant to represent our best interests. But whose interests are you representing here? Not our local community. We've been enduring the noise and pollution from flights for decades. We certainly don't want to endure another 700 possible flights over our heads every day in the near future. I don't think you're representing the wider community either. We know now for sure that the pollution from airplanes is one of the fastest growing contributors to climate change. If we have a third runway, we know that the impact, the carbon footprint, will be the annual equivalent of a country like Uganda. It's a massive blight on our future. Now, I'm aware that your own party's leaders are strongly opposed to the third runway, one of whom, John McDonnell, has described it as a climate disaster of a runway. And that is corroborated only a few weeks ago by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, who warns the world we've only got 12 years left to halve our carbon emissions if we're not going to face catastrophic climate change in the near future. And this echoes with what our scientists in the UK have been saying for the last 25 years. And I'm just going to quote from 1994, the Royal Commission on Environmental Pollution, which says, we've got to challenge an unquestioning attitude towards future growth in air travel. It's incompatible with the aims of sustainable development. That was 25 years ago. The IPCC in the last few weeks has been warning us that we are in real danger, and the challenge ahead is the need for unprecedented shifts in energy systems and transport. Now that means Heathrow, that means a third runway challenge. So here we are. It's a perfect example of where we have to challenge conventional thinking. We have to challenge our mindsets. And we've really got to think this old idea that a third runway at Heathrow is going to create more jobs and more wealth. That is a redundant idea. That's a 20th century, last century idea. It has no place in the 21st century in the crisis that we're facing. We cannot keep increasing pollution in our skies if we want our children to have a decent future. And how many more times do we have to remind our politicians that there are no jobs on a dead planet? So Vicky, do tell me, whose interests are you representing at this meeting?
Yeah, that was very much a question for me, and not for you, I believe. I do think that I represent the constituency. I organise meetings because I'm open to listen to different point of views. One of the things that in terms of the meetings that I've had with Heathrow is very much about the environmental impacts, about looking in terms of better technology, in terms of aeroplanes, in terms of different ways in terms of reducing the carbon footprint around stuff. You could go and kind of vouch for me in terms of this has been like the kind of heaviest thing that I've actually been hammering on, as well as flight paths and noise reduction. But actually, some of those things come in hand. So, of course, you're more than welcome to go and put forward your views and opinions with us. And I am very much into tackling climate change, and I only organise with a number of local people recently, kind of coffee morning where we could go and talk about how together in the local community we could think of